2025 was a year for the record books as the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association saw historic growth across the board. Membership topped 1,800 athletic leaders. Major events like the state conference, spring sponsor showcase, and fall forum had record-breaking or near record-breaking numbers. New initiatives launched in 2025 made a major impact, including the Texas Cup, honoring statewide excellence, and Educate Excel Play, a campaign focused on the core values of school-based athletics. We also had the introduction of the JAM satellite sessions that help extend THSADA's reach even further. And the THSADA didn't just show up at events. Content played a key role in supporting athletic directors across the state. And that's why on this Director's Cut episode, we're gonna feature some of the best videos of 2025 to recap a monumental year for the association. But before we do that, we do want to thank our partner in this episode, and that's Hellas Construction. From Helix technology for matrix turf to Geo Cool Fill organic infill, Hellas continues to lead in innovation. We also want to thank them for being our title sponsor of our Benny Carter Memorial Golf Tournament at our state conference. Always a sellout and a huge success for all involved. We want to thank all those a part of the THSADA for such a great year, and we wish you the best for 2026. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope you enjoy this THSADA Director's Cut.
One of the most powerful things about athletics, and the reason that we have to keep it strong and vibrant and thriving, is because I would make the argument that the people in this room do more to support academic growth than almost any other single group that there is in the school. How many of y'all talked about the importance of academics in athletics? I'm starting there because I actually think that's one that's often overlooked. We talk about a lot of other things, and I'll get to it in a minute. But I asked this coach, we're in an interview setting, and it's a committee of us, and I said, tell me how you'd answer that question. Why should we keep athletics as part of the school day and in the role it currently has? And here's what this young coach said, and it has stuck with me. It's pretty smart. He said, I think it is the most effective intervention for at-risk youth that we've ever had in the history of the state of Texas because we have no pass, no play. Now, our teachers do a great job teaching our young people, but every coach in this room knows that the hardest kid to coach is the kid who's not motivated. The hardest kid to coach is the kid who's not motivated. And like I said earlier, there aren't a lot of kids excited and wake up every day thinking, I just can't wait to get to Algebra 1. But boy, they love shooting a basketball, or catching a football, or putting a golf ball. Like, that's their passion. And that's what gets them out of bed every day. And when they come to school and they're not doing what they're supposed to do in class, and they're not staying on top of their studies, their mom can look at them and tell them to do better, and they'll nod. And their teacher can look at them and tell them to do better, they'll roll their eyes a little. But if their coach looks at them and says, listen, you need to understand something. Your starting position's in jeopardy because I don't know if I can count on you. Because you're walking around here with a 70. And the 70 means you can play, but a 69 means you can't. And if you can't get it figured out, you can't be on the field. And you're not only going to let yourself down, you're going to tick me off, and you're going to let down everybody else on this team. Now the kid's paying attention. We have to make sure that when we're thinking about the importance of what we do, that we never forget to mention the importance of academics and what we do every day. And you're like, well, Dr. Allen, really, we have to talk about it? Yes, we do. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it.
Coaches matter. And to your question, in every single school district, in every single context, I have appreciated at my right hand, yeah, instruction is important, but people don't come to school for math. They don't come to school for science. They come to school for athletics. And I know because I was one of those students. I know coming from poverty, your English teacher didn't have time to invest, but Coach Murphy did. Listen, the English teacher didn't have time, but Coach Elmore did. And because of all the coaches, yes, I graduated in the top. Yes, I was good academically, but coming from a poverty-stricken home with no parents, it was life-changing to be in athletics.
You don't see yourself as a sport coach. You know, you see yourself, you're a leader. You know, at the end of the day, you know, whatever sports you do, and this is for all coaches, you know, you coach swimming, football, soccer, whatever sport it is, you need to know that you are a leader and you're going to do things to help student athletes become better than what they are when you found them. But then in the long term of it, you want to help them to become better husbands, better fathers, better mothers, better wives, in the grand scheme of things. And if you have that goal in mind, everything else is going to come together.
We were in a bind. And so I said, hey, I'll help out. I showed immediately that I think that I was a team player. I had no idea that that would pay off. Principal asked me to be on a committee. I served on a committee. I volunteered for Special Olympics. I volunteered to work track meets. I had no idea that all of those things, I was told later, was one of the reasons that I was even considered to be an assistant AD. I showed very early that I was a team player and had no idea. It wasn't my intention to do those things so that I could get a job. So being intentional about building relationships and rolling your sleeves up and doing the work paid off for me.
Find a mentor that's already in that position. For me, I have many of them, right? And because I can pull different things from different people, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. And so I just had a young lady just reach out to me about shadowing. So those are the different things, and for me, that's just kind of awesome because again, that's how I started out doing it, right? And now I'm like, oh, somebody wants to shadow me, okay, And so, but don't be afraid to reach out, right? Because you don't know what you don't know until you get in it. And so it's like, why not? Just go see what it looks like. And then you can kind of gauge on, okay, that might be something I want to do. But be open to meeting people, relationship building. You just can't be in a little confined box and want to jump into this thing because there's so much context that goes in with it. And you want to know it.
Athletic trainers are they see through a neutral lens, kind of like an administrator would, seeing all the sports. They're not in a tunnel. So they're the eyes and ears of the AD on a campus because they see the big picture just like an AD would. So I think that's a key component for an athletic administrator to see that and know that this is maybe their best friend on a campus because they can give them a neutral perspective on things.
I love that. And so just more bringing them into the fold and into the discussions of what to do and in regards to any situation that's going on and more of a sound piece as well is a value add.
Right. And then just giving them opportunities for growth and opportunities to do different administrative tasks in the department.
And so there's got to be trust. So if your coaches don't trust each other, if they don't trust you, then nothing works. Then if that happens, I might as well close this right here and then we're done because nothing's going to work. So it's got to have that part. Does that mean everything's fine? No. Right? No. You don't have conflict. In fact, part of dealing with trust, right, is you got to have proximity, you got to have time, you got to have conflict and work through it, right? And then you got to have consistency. Those are kind of the factors in building trust.
So one day at our athletic coordinators meeting, I had a picture of every athletic coordinator.
Yes.
And I talked to them to the point of you are the face of the athletic program at your school. You're it.
Wow.
Right? The head coach is the face of their program. My assistant ADs, they're the faces of the programs that they oversee. And again, as you said, like it or not, I'm the face of the athletic department. And so you have to know that and you have to embrace that.
Your time is so valuable as a big-time AD. Personally, how do you figure out the best way to use it day to day? What's your system?
Well, one of the great things about being at West Point for 6 years is I worked for a general who ultimately became a 4-star general. And when I first got there, he said, you have to know what's critical, what's urgent, and what's important, because everything is important. And certain things are urgent, but you got to focus on the critical things first. And so I thought that was a great way of thinking about, being an athletic director at Texas Christian University. Like, everything's really important, but personally, I need to focus on those critical things first and knock down those targets because other people can handle a lot of the important things and some of the urgent things. And so I just need to be very focused on what's critical, what is going to have the biggest impact on the institution or our department or our student athletes directly. So whether that's, football is our big revenue earner. Obviously, that's got to take up a lot of my time and attention and focus. But then there's another component to all this, which is your personal time, right? I have 2 kids. I have a wife. We're trying to buy a house. And so those fall into some of the critical things as well. And so for me, it's understanding what can wait until tomorrow, or in some cases, what can wait until July, where things slow down and we can knock out something like that in the summer. And that comes with time and practice. And this is my 3rd athletic director's job, and so I've learned a lot over the years.
How do you communicate that to your coaches who also have critical things, who also have all these needs, and they're looking for leadership, and you're having to decide, do I go on a house visit to see if we're going to buy this house with my wife, or help this coach that's having a critical issue with their program?
So coaches actually, most of the time, are almost relieved to hear that that's my approach, because they're trying to balance their life and their personal life, their professional life, their recruits. But they know, they're a veteran group, and so they understand, hey, this is something that can wait until Monday, or this is something that we need to knock out immediately. A lot of times it's just daily communication, sometimes through text. The positives and the negatives about having cell phones and being in touch 24 hours a day is you can get a lot done through text. A lot of times a coach will just say, hey, here's the situation. Are you comfortable with me proceeding? And that gives me an opportunity to maybe step out of wherever I am, give them a quick call, talk through it, and keep moving. So for the most part, in my experience, I find that they actually are relieved to hear that I do want to have a work-life balance, and I do understand the difference between those critical things and really important things. And that's just something you have to learn over time.
Do you think we're losing what makes people passionate with all the changes that are proposed or happening here in high school athletics?
I don't know that. I think you got to bring your own purpose and passion to everything that you do. And if you're allowing an external factor to impact what drives you, I think that you're probably in the wrong business. So I never really depended on anybody else to get me motivated to do my job. I think that's the job of the professional to do that. But I do understand that some of the external factors that are really coming into play for teachers and coaches now absolutely beat people down. And I think that's why it's important for athletic directors, all the people that are here, to understand that, and then to try to figure out how do we have high standards for our people, but also find ways of encouraging them and pulling them along with us and getting them to overcome that adversity of some of the societal things that are going on. And sometimes they feel unappreciated. Like how do we increase the appreciation for coaches? How do we make sure that they know that they're valued and allow them to not have their passion extinguished by external factors? One of the things I'm going to close with today, in my presentation is I was listening to a podcast recently, and the head football coach at Tulane kind of started talking about not allowing things that are chaotic in the college sports scene to impact his joy, then the joy that he has in the job. And I think that's one thing I'm going to close with today, is to say that, there's a lot of chaos kind of going on around us, a lot of noise. And, me personally, I'm trying to make the decision that I'm really going to be focused in on the purpose that I bring to the job every day, the really process for improvement of kids, coaches, and activities, and trying to really understand what it did for me as a young man, as I now am an old man, and trying to foster just a positive experience for the next generation of athletes and coaches, because I think it's that important.